Is Guardians of the Galaxy the perfect movie trilogy? It's a huge claim, I know. But stick with me here, because there's a serious case to be made. When we think of great trilogies, names like The Lord of the Rings, the original Star Wars, and the Dark Knight trilogy usually come to mind. These are cinematic titans, no doubt. But what makes a trilogy truly perfect? Is it just about having 3 great movies? Or is there something more? For me, a perfect trilogy needs 3 things. First, each film has to be excellent on its own. You should be able to watch any one of them and have a fantastic time. Second, they need to tell a single cohesive story that unfolds across all 3 films, with a clear beginning, middle, and end. And third, the final movie has to provide a deeply satisfying conclusion, tying up the character arcs and themes in a way that feels earned and complete. So, how does Guardians of the Galaxy stack up against these criteria? Let's dive in. First up, are the individual films great? Absolutely. Let us start with the first Guardians of the Galaxy from 2014. Remember the reaction when this was announced? A talking raccoon and a walking tree? Is Marvel serious? People were skeptical, to say the least, but James Gunn delivered a masterpiece. It's a vibrant, hilarious, and surprisingly emotional space opera. It introduced us to this band of misfits, Star-Lord, Gamora, Drax, Rocket, and Groot, and made us fall in love with them. The film is a masterclass in tone, balancing laugh-out-loud humor with genuine heart. The soundtrack, Awesome Nicks Volume 1, wasn't just background music. It was a core part of Peter Quill's character and the story's soul. It was a massive, unexpected hit that proved Marvel could make pretty much anything work. Then came Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 in 2017. The challenge for any sequel is to be bigger and better without losing what made the first one special. Volume 2 doubled down on the heart. While the first film was about bringing this dysfunctional group together, the second was about exploring what it means to be a family. The main plot with Peter and his celestial father, Ego, was epic in scale, but the real story was the emotional journey of the characters. We got Drax's hilarious dynamic with Mantis, Gamora and Nebula's complicated sisterhood, and that gut-wrenching farewell to Yondu. He may have been your father, boy, but he wasn't your daddy. I mean, come on. It has a moment that cemented Yondu as one of the MCU's best characters and showed that this series wasn't afraid to get seriously emotional. Volume 2 proved the first film wasn't a fluke. And that brings us to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, released this year. After the long wait and all the drama behind the scenes, the pressure was immense. Could James Gunn stick the landing? The answer was a resounding yes. Volume 3 is the darkest and most emotional of the trilogy, but it's also arguably the most profound. It finally gives us Rocket's tragic backstory, a tale of cruelty and friendship that recontextualizes his entire character. We understood why he was so cynical and guarded. The film masterfully balances this heavy storyline with the signature Guardians humor and spectacular action. It gives every single character a meaningful arc and a satisfying send-off. It's a beautiful, heartbreaking, and ultimately hopeful conclusion that feels like the perfect end to their story. So check 1, each film is individually fantastic. But what about the second rule? Do they tell a single cohesive story? I believe they do, and it's a story about found family. Volume 1 is the getting together phase. It's about a group of broken, lonely individuals who find each other by chance and realize they're better together than they are apart. They're not friends. Not really. They re a gang of criminals who decide that saving the galaxy is slightly more profitable than killing each other. But by the end, when Groot sacrifices himself and they all stand together to hold the Infinity Stone, a bond is forged. They become the Guardians of the Galaxy. Volume 2 is the learning to live together phase. The honeymoon is over, and now they have to navigate the messy reality of being a family. They bicker, they fight, they have deep-seated insecurities that push each other away. Peter deals with his daddy issues, Gamora and Nebula confront their traumatic past, and Rocket's abrasive personality threatens to isolate him. The central theme, is that family isn't about blood. It's about the people who show up for you, the ones who stick by you even when you're a total jerk. Yondu's sacrifice is the ultimate expression of this theme. He was the real father figure all along. Volume 3 is the letting go phase. It's the culmination of everything. The team has to come together to save one of their own rocket, forcing them to confront his past and their own futures. By the end, they've healed enough to go their separate ways, not because the family is breaking up, but because they're healthy enough to stand on their own. Peter returns to Earth to connect with his grandfather. Mantis goes on a journey of self-discovery. Gamora finds her place with the Ravagers. And Drax and Nebula stay on Nowhere to raise a new generation. Rocket steps up as the new leader, with Groot by his side. It's not a sad ending. It's a graduation. They've grown, they've healed, and now they're ready for their next chapter. A perfect 3-act story about finding family, learning to be a family, and finally being strong enough to let that family evolve. This brings me to my final point, the satisfying conclusion. A perfect trilogy needs an ending that honors the journey. And Volume 3 delivers this in spades. Compare this to other trilogies. The original Star Wars is incredible, but Return of the Jedi, while good, is often seen as the weakest of the three. The Dark Knight Rises provides a conclusion, but it's a bit divisive and doesn't quite hit the emotional heights of The Dark Knight. The Guardians trilogy, however, feels like it was planned this way from the very beginning. James Gunn knew the story he wanted to tell. Rocket's arc, which is the heart of the entire trilogy, was seeded from the very first film. The themes of abuse, trauma, and healing are present throughout all 3 movies, culminating in the team's victory over the High Evolutionary, a villain who represents the ultimate abusive creator. Each character's ending feels earned. Peter isn't flying off into another adventure. He's finally facing the grief he's been running from since he was a child. It's a mature, poignant end to his story. The final dance party to Dog Days Are Over isn't just a fun moment. It's a cathartic release, a celebration of their survival and their love for each other. It's a moment of pure, unadulterated joy. So, let's go back to the original question. Is Guardians of the Galaxy the perfect movie trilogy? It has 3 individually brilliant films. It tells a single, cohesive, and powerful story about found family across all 3 entries. And its conclusion is emotionally resonant, satisfying, and perfectly wraps up the arcs of the characters we've grown to love. For my money, that ticks all the boxes. It might not have the sweeping epic scale of Lord of the Rings, but in terms of character, heart, and thematic consistency, it's right up there with the all-time greats. It's a beautiful, hilarious, and emotional journey from start to finish. A perfect trilogy. What do you think? Do you agree? Is there another trilogy you think is more perfect? Let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more deep dives into the movies and shows you love. Thanks for watching.